Yeah. I'll just record on the cloud because you never know with the internet and all that. All right, Sham. So just after meditation, it's really good to actually go through the content also, because it's not just meditating and, not thinking about anything and just being in the state. We actually need to study too. Yeah.
Okay.
Study and talk about nothingness. That's a great paradox of Zen, actually. Everything is nothing. And you actually talk about nothingness, and you have so many books which talk about nothingness. So among the vast nothingness, you do have a nothing which is worth something, and that's the Dhamapadda, which consists of, like I was telling you before we started to meditate, it consists of talks, which have been collected over 45 years of teaching from the Buddha. Now, we don't know how accurate they are because people wrote them down at some point, but they do contain jewels. When you read, you think, yeah, that must have been said by the Buddha, because just, it just sounds very wise and not mainstream at all. Okay, so we'll look at verse 21 today. All right, and we'll try to discuss it. So verse 21 goes like that. It's about mindfulness, all right? So it tells you that mindfulness is the way to Nibbana. Now, Nibbana means deathless. So you can't die, deathless. So mindfulness is the way towards deathless, if you look at it. So if you're mindful, you can't die. Sort of. Is that what comes across when you read it? Do I read it again? Mindfulness is the way to Nibbana, the deathless. Okay, so what's really going in Gautama's mind when he says that? All right. Everything that's born needs to die, right? Yeah, I agree with that.
Sure, yeah.
But then certain religions claim that, there is the soul and the soul never dies, the body dies. We won't go into that discussion. Let's reality. Now, what is really real, if you think about it? The reality. Reality would be something that can't just disappear. It's always there. That's why we say it's real. Would you agree with that statement?
Reality is... Wait, say that again, please.
I was saying, how could we possibly describe reality? Would it be something that can't go away? Then it's real, it's always there?
I mean, I don't think so. There are
how
things
would you describe reality?
How would you describe reality? Reality. I mean, I'm trying to think of what's not reality.
I know.
So,
yeah.
To give a contrast, because I've actually wondered about this, like your thoughts, they say that's not reality. Like if you think about something that doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But it exists as a thought.
Yeah.
So that in some way part of reality, it's just not physical, so I don't know if reality necessarily means physical. I mean, if it exists on some level, it's part of reality. I guess that would be the definition that would come to mind. I don't know if that's saying much. What do you?
But in your mind, there are around 60,000 thoughts in a day, and you may think about, I don't know, you may have a thought about, and you becoming half a dinosaur. Would it make those things become real? I mean,
the thought,
tricky, right?
But I guess so in this idea, we're thinking reality is like a shared experience, maybe.
Okay, that's interesting. Okay, if you say shared experience, so right now that's real, right?
Like if we both
we're sharing right now
as a half dinosaur, then maybe it's real. I don't know. If everyone sees me as half a dinosaur, then I guess that becomes reality, right?
But that's the thing. Actually, people having some dinosaur links. I mean, there are a couple of people who think that they're reptilians. So we won't get into conspiracy theories. So Yeah.
So
But
what is a reality, or is there a Buddhist definition of reality? I'm curious what that would be, or a Zen definition.
exactly. The reason why we're discussing it is because, all right, let's break it on. So yeah, you asked about what's the Zen perspective on reality, right?
Yeah, did you say let's bring it on?
Yeah, did I say that?
I like that. I don't. That's hardcore. Dude, bring it on.
Maybe I
Bring
did. I've said lots of crazy realizing. Does it
Okay,
make
yeah.
it real? Yeah, it is. Yeah, okay. The one thing which Zen folks believe is what I was telling you, what we were joking about at the start, about nothingness. So everything is nothing. That's what folks believe. So if you look at the Heart Sutra itself, I think I sang it for you once, or for the group of people who were meditating.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's all about nothingness. It tells you no body, no mind, no old age. Nothing is real. Everything is nothing. And what they mean by that is that, you know, the way we look at the world, it exists and it also doesn't exist. Meaning right now I'm looking at you, right? You exist right now. But when we finish the call, you don't exist. You're no longer part of the reality, I mean, of my reality. You will be part of it the next time we call each other. In that way, right now we have the body, but when we die, it's going to go away. The body, the way we look at it right now will change as we age. So right now it is real, like we have that body right now, but it won't be the same in a couple of years. So it's not real in a sense because it's constantly changing. So reality we have, it's here, going to be here also at some point.
Okay.
Okay, and it's the same thing about the thoughts as well. The thoughts come, and then there's nothing, and then another thought comes, and then there's nothing between the thoughts. So what we say is that everything comes from nothing and then goes back to nothing. And you could look at it from a physics perspective also. So there was nothingness, and then there was the Big Bang, and then everything got created.
Okay.
So there is a kind of similarity between the two things, I would say. That's what we believe. So right now, whatever I see around me is real, but it won't be real at one point when I die. Nothing will exist because I die, so I can't see those things. Now,
so reality can be like from reality has to exist from a perspective.
Yeah.
Like witness.
Exactly. Yeah. Because we are observing all those things from our senses. But our senses are limited. Maybe there are things we can't see.
Sure. And
which are part of the reality.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite abstract.
Sure is.
Yeah. So the more we discuss about it, we realize that, so if everything comes from nothing, right? And everything goes back to nothing, that nothingness can't disappear. So that's the real thing, actually. And nothingness can't die. So mindfulness is the way to deathless. So as you realize that, oh, you're not just this body. So when the body dies, it's going to go back to the soil. You become part of the soil. I mean, if you don't burn yourself, you bury yourself. You're going to become part of the soil again, and then you're going to nourish a tree, and then you become part of the tree, you become a tree. And life goes on. So you never die in a way. And think about it, champs. Your genes get transmitted to your children. And then they go on and go on and on. So you never die in a way. Till maybe there's no mankind at one point, maybe.
But yeah, that's an interesting way of your consciousness. Maybe your individual consciousness doesn't continue, but a part of it does.
Yeah.
So in that way, unless you associate your existence with only your consciousness, which I think a lot of people do, but looking at it from a different or more broad perspective, other aspects of your existence, at least like your physical self.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's interesting. That gets passed on in your genes. So a part of you continues to live on. And yeah, it's a very interesting idea.
Yeah, so you never die in that way.
But that's not mindfulness, is it?
No,
No,
to be mindful is to be able to see those things, because you're no longer thinking just about yourself. It's not just you, it's more broad than that. So that's what being mindful is. It's not mindful meditation here, it's just being mindful of things. Yeah,
okay.
thinking about those things. Because what does being mindful mean? It means being aware, isn't it? Become aware of those things. It's quite interesting. So that's what the verse means. I mean, that's our interpretation of it.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the verse is just that one.
Just that mindfulness is the way to Nebanna, which means deathless.
Is it related to the word nirvana?
So nirvana means to attain enlightenment. Nibbana means to die. Now, you could link those two. When you die, you attain enlightenment because you no longer have that body, so you no longer suffer.
They just sounded a little bit similar, so I was wondering if they should.
Yeah. Same pronunciation, sort of. But the Zen way is actually to live with the body and attain nirvana. Attain enlightenment, even if it can't be attained. If you go back to the 4 vows, it actually has it there, to attain the enlightened way, a way non-attainable. So you can't attain it, but you vow to attain it. You see, it's full of paradox.
Yeah, that's such a common thing with the Zen.
Yeah, because you know what they say in Zen? They say that if there is something you can achieve, it's not worth it.
That's so weird. Okay.
Yeah, so you're trying to achieve something which you know you can't achieve. You're going to try to achieve it because it's worth living like that. So it's a bit like the samurais used to live. They used to be quite extreme. So they wanted to attain perfection with the way they manipulated the sword and the way they lived their life. So they tried to attain that perfection. I don't know whether you've watched the Lost Samurai.
Yes.
Goes there and he watches them trying to perfect their skills with the arrows, with the fighting and all that. They're trying to perfect something which they know won't be perfect, but there is no point in life if you don't try to perfect those skills. You see?
Interesting. It's an outward meditation.
Yeah, because that's to aim at something which we know deep down that life is worth living like that. To be that perfect, that centered, that focused, that wise. Because a life without those structures would be what? A life with no direction, where you just get swayed anywhere by your thoughts, by your desires. That's when anger, greed, and ignorance creep in, when you don't have a well-structured life. Then you get swayed by those different things because you don't have that discipline. So it's not just about, letting go and going with the flow. There is a sort of discipline and I would say to the practice. Like you've seen how the Zen guys, when they sit, it's straight, focused. Just like when we meditated a while ago, like a mountain. Kind of grounding also, because life is chaotic. So you need to balance it by living your life that way, which we just found something intense. So it's so chaotic that to counter it, you need to live a very disciplined life. Otherwise, you're just adding chaos to chaos, and it's just going to be ridiculous.
So the balance.
It's about balance, so it goes back to the middle way.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's amazing how many things we pulled out from these two. It's not even 2 lines, it's 1 line.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
How many verses are in the, what is the name of the scripture?
Dhamapadda. So I don't know, man. There could be around 1,000.
Oh, wow. Okay. So it's not a short, quite a long.
Yeah, they're very short. They're like things he said.
Each one is short, but there's lots of.
Yeah. I mean, it becomes long also when people interpret. So you have a full book of, I don't know, 1,000 pages maybe, because the person interpreted them, but they're quite nice. Do you want to look at another one?
Sure, let's look at one more. That sounds interesting. I'm curious.
So it's still about mindfulness, the other verse. I don't have the number, but still, I found it interesting. So I'll read it for you. So mindful amongst the negligent. So he's talking mindful, those who practice meditation daily, okay? So what it makes you become mindful amongst the negligent and highly vigilant amongst the drowsy. The wise man advances like a racehorse, leaving everyone behind. You want me to read it again?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So mindful amongst the highly vigilant amongst the drowsy. The wise man advances like a racehorse, leaving everyone behind. So he's giving hints, I think, about things we should be aware. Not be negligent, I would say. Not be drowsy. So when you're mindful about those things, I mean, we can be negligent from time to time, but when you catches it and you're mindful about it, you correct yourself, then I mean, that's what mindfulness is not about, constantly being in that focused state. It's about being aware when those things pop up, and then you deal with them in a mindful way. So I think he warned us about being negligent and being drowsy. The more you do that, the more you cultivate that mindfulness in you. At one point, you do realize that, it's not ego, but you do realize that you're not like others. So then he makes that analogy with the racehorse, where you will leave everyone behind at one point. Realize that you're different because you're not swayed by greed, anger, and ignorance, and you see those things around you. So automatically, you do see that you're not, you're not like others.
Yeah, there's something about the like average or ordinary or common way of being seems more towards the drowsiness and the non-mindful.
I mean, we've been there too. So it's not that he's saying that because he's making himself feel special, but it's something which will happen the more you work on yourself, because you do realize that you are mindful about those things and other people are not. Like you see us people being rude towards each other. I would never do that. So I'm mindful of a bad thing, but these people don't. For them, it's a normal way of acting. So, yeah. So 2 verses which were written, and I don't know how long. I mean, it was written 2,500 years ago, I believe, but still relevant to our era. That's what wisdom is. It never ages. You see, you can't kill it. We go back to the first verse. Being mindfulness is deathless. So these realizations, I think, will just continue. Oh, my battery will die. It's blinking red. So
Okay.
yeah. So I think these realizations will never age.
Yeah, that's a good point about wisdom. That is a really interesting definition or quality, that it doesn't become outdated.
So it's something worth cultivating, I would say. Because you know it's precious.
I hope we get to
cool.
these verses. I'm curious to see what else is in this.
Yeah, we'll do another couple of ones next week. They're very cool. Yeah, most of the things you see online about Buddhism are actually bits and of these verses which people have put online.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. But some of them are misinterpreted, and sometimes people steal ideas from those verses and then they pretend they are their own. You know, I've seen that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm.
Very cool.
Yeah. Okay, Shams, we stop today because my battery will die in a few seconds.
Cool, man. Beautiful.
Okay.
That was nice connecting.
Yeah, cheers.